See, I got only 2 of these.
Okay natin? Sige.
Para magkauboy kayo ni Lolita.
Gusto mo bumili niyan?
Para magkauboy kayo.
May pera ka naman eh.
Hindi, pag kayo ni ano, Lolita.
Sumasakay ka sa kanya.
Your remembrance.
Remembrance.
All right. Hit the road.
The road is hit.
We're going to watch a slideshow presentation. Don't worry, there will be snacks. And then we're
Yay!
Yeah!
I'd say what kind of snacks? Welcome to Old Tucson. My name is Sam P. I'll be your guide. Who's been here before? I have a feeling someone's been here before. You guys, all right? Okay, well, welcome back. Now, just a little safety thing I'm going to tell you, because we have a lot of people here. It is a ghost town today, but we do have people out there working. Okay, they're working diligently on setting up Nightfall, which is a big event that we do the whole month of October, into September, October, and the whole town turns into a haunted ghost town. We have 120 scare actors hired that dress up like bloody clowns and chase you with chainsaws. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. And you're gonna see evidence of that. These cobwebs all over, and but people are working and they're driving around in utility vehicles at rapid speeds to get things done. That's why you need you all to stay with me. I know you want to take pictures, take all the pictures you want, but do it with me, all right? Don't wander off, because if one of those guys comes screaming around the corner in a utility vehicle and hits you, it's gonna be bad. And you have to tell people at home you got hit by a golf cart. So with that. Also, this is the Sonoran Desert. We have things out here that can stick you, sting you, or bite you, and I don't want that to happen to you either. Just stick with me. If I see one of those things, I'll scream like a little girl, and you'll know not to step there, so everything will be fine. All right, so if you need to hit a restroom, let me know. We have plenty of rocks and cactus. But if you need to come back here if you're not feeling good, I'm kidding. We have real restrooms. Take it easy. But if you need to come back here if you're not feeling good, I mean, this is the desert out here. If you feel faint or dizzy, that's nothing to sneeze at. Okay, we need to take care of you. All right. So otherwise, let's go have fun, ask questions, take pictures, moving out. Rawhide. Let's go.
All right. Oh. Yan o, old ba no? Kung mga mag-ihan na yun. Oo, andin hira. Nagsushooting ano? Ano? Train no? Movie sweet. Dito sila ganaganap po. Sus, ito tubig yung pinasirakan daw.
Alright, so Old Tucson got started way back in 1939 because Columbia Pictures needed to make a movie called Arizona, and they had a $2.3 million budget to do it with. Back in the Great Depression, that was a lot of money. It's a lot of money now, by the way. $2.3 million doesn't sound like a lot, but that's the equivalent today of about $42 million. Which, you could almost make a Star Wars movie with that, I think. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, you can make a Western. You can make a couple of Westerns with that. So they decided not to film it in California, but to come out here to sunny Arizona and make it here. They thought this spot was perfect because of what you guys drove through. When you drove through here, has anybody ever seen a saguaro before today, a saguaro cactus? Nobody has? This is your first time seeing? What'd you think? Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
They take like 100 years to get that tall. I mean, it takes them 50 to 70 years to grow an arm. They're not just any old backyard cactus. These are these are sequoias of the desert. Anyway, so we're the only state that has them, so that's the cool thing. And they like that. They love that desert out there. And then they also love the rugged mountain range. What their task was is to build the town of Tucson from 1862. This is a tall order. We couldn't use the existing town of Tucson on the other side of that whole mountain over there because it didn't look like the Old West anymore by 1939. So they had to make it from scratch. They hired local Native American tribe, the Tohono O'odham, to build adobe bricks. Is anybody from Arizona? Any Arizonans here? No? Anybody from the Southwest at all? Okay, so that means you guys are from places with trees, right? Y'all have trees where you live?
Yeah.
And you notice we don't have a lot out here, trees? We don't have a lot of trees. That's what our trees look like. So you see a lot of those. Those are basically bushes that think they're trees, but they're not trees. We don't have a lot of wood. So in order to build buildings, they used adobe, which is basically mud. You're standing in front of an adobe building right now. Go ahead and touch it. It won't bite you. That's adobe. That's mud and mud mortar. Everything's muddy, muddy, muddy. So that was what Tucson was built of prior to the Transcontinental Railroad making wood available to us all over the place. So we had to emulate that. So we hired a local Native American tribe, the Tohono O'odham, to build us adobe bricks. They've been doing it for centuries. So they built us 350,000 of them suckers. And 82 buildings later, welcome to Old Tucson, circa the Civil War. Right down to the street names. They did a pretty good job. Now we got to get some actors. This is a 1940s movie. You ever seen one of those?
Boobies.
Purpose? Or an accent? Okay. It has a love element. We got two people in love in this one. Dean Arthur plays the female lead. William Holden plays the male lead. She's 39. He's 22. So it's the first cougar sighting in southern Arizona. You know, that was the first one. No, Gene Arthur was star power. You gotta have star power. William Holden would be a big star, but not in 1939. He was just a pup. He was a babe in the woods. Wasn't ready for that yet. So the movie comes out in 1940, and we have this lovely set, and Arizona wants it. But there's not a thing we can do until after World War II at this point. World War II shuts us. You guys just hear that?
It's my phone.
Okay, your phone, all right. I thought maybe it was somebody was calling me out. I'm like, oh. It's already high noon. It feels much later. Anyway, but World War II comes down, and then after, in 1946, the local Junior Chamber of Commerce comes out, and they're the ones putting the porches and the boardwalks on. They're putting roofs on some of the buildings, because when they filmed out here in 39, they had no electricity. In order to shoot interior building shots, you got to have light. Right? Old cameras need light. New cameras need light. Your phones need light in order to take good pictures. So they open it up to something we have a lot of down here. Now, if you're not from out here, we have this all the time. 363 and a half days a year we have that. Even when it rains, we have sunshine. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, welcome to Arizona. Okay, they're out here and they're doing their thing, and Hollywood comes back and makes 31 more movies, and one of those movies is Rio Bravo, starring a fellow by the name of John Wayne. Anybody ever heard of John Wayne?
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you haven't heard of John Wayne, it's going to be a very short tour. So, you have heard? Okay, good. You haven't. I understand you haven't. It's okay. You get a pass because, you know, you're 11?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right.
Di pa tinaw na ito.
First time ever I got that right. Well, all right, so now, we're cooking with gas. This guy comes along by the name of Bob Shelton. He's got a lot of money. He looks at this place and he says, I'm going to make this better. Because he knows what it's missing. You know what it's missing? It's missing you. That's what it's missing. We have actors coming in and out of here all the time, but we don't have you. And we need to get you in here because that's the future of this place. In between making movies, we need revenue. Welcome to revenue. You guys are revenue. You're playing a great part.
Woo!
Yeah. It's not going to be hard to get you here either. Because back then, in 1959, that's the heyday of Westerns, folks. 7 out of every 10 TV shows were Westerns. About every 4th movie being made, Western. Yep, you got it. It's kind of like for you younger people, it's kind of like the Marvel movies and TV shows today. You know how they dominate the media? Like you just got another superhero movie? Yeah, that's what's going on with Westerns back in the day. So, but we got some young people here. He may not like Westerns. You like Westerns? Yeah, you like Westerns. So now you're going to drag his poor little head over here. What are you going to do with him? He doesn't know what to do. It's all right. We have rides for you. We have a train that goes around every 8 minutes. We got a carousel. We got an Iron Door ghost tour. Little cars you can drive on rails. Nothing. I'm getting nothing. Okay, so none of that. How about a shooting gallery? There we go. So we have a shooting gallery. About the only thing we don't have out here is a roller coaster for obvious reasons. We're still making movies out here. We can't have Space Mountain sticking up out of the desert. It just wouldn't be right. Okay, in 1960, he opens the park to a very excited public. He's expecting 2,000 people to show up. That first weekend would be a good way to earn some money, 2,000 people. But he misjudges America, and 50,000 people show up at the front door, and he's not prepared for that number. And how do I know that? Because that building right by you over there with the wagon wheels is the only bathroom.
Wow.
50,000 people went to the bathroom in or around that building back then, and it didn't have running water for another decade. So we're not going to go in there. Is that okay? Can you give me that? Okay. Right behind me, see that mountaintop? That's called Golden Gate Peak. It's important to old Tucson because of all the 400 movies, TV shows, commercials, music videos, etc. filmed out here. That's in about every one of them. There's one TV show you won't see it in, and the sign of that building should indicate the show. If you know it, say it out loud. No? Has anybody ever heard of Little House on the Prairie? No? Nobody's heard of Little House on the Prairie? You guys have, all right, yeah, all right. So that's a TV show about, well, it kind of holds today. It's about a family that goes out west and they have to deal with, you know, everything everybody had to deal with out west. So a lot of family values kind of show. It starred a guy that used to be in a TV show called Bonanza. Anybody ever see Bonanza? Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Have Gun Will Travel, Wagon Train, The Rifleman, all those shows filmed out here usually were depicted as Texas or Mexico. So if you're looking for us, look for those episodes. But Bonanza filmed out here. So Michael Landon, who played Little Joe Cartwright in that, was also in and directed Little House on the Prairie. So this was in that show. All right, now, but the reason you won't see that mountain is because Little House on the Prairie takes place in Minnesota. Anybody ever been to Minnesota here? Well, let me tell you, Minnesota didn't look like this, does it? No, you're from Minnesota. You said it. Do they have mountains in Minnesota? No. They have saguaro cactus in Minnesota? Yeah, there we go. But you have corn. We don't have corn. We don't have grass. You have grass. All right, let's get moving. We got stuff to do. Follow me.
Cowboy, yeehaw!
That's the original building. So it's the schoolhouse. You're going to go through there, okay? Check it out, take a picture, then come out the other side so we can make room for other people. This schoolhouse is designed as such. You guys get some history going on. I want you to show that history of the old West period.
Old house.
This building has never been a schoolhouse.
It's dusty now.
There was a movie filmed out here in 1990 called Young Guns 2. Anybody ever see it? Young Guns 2 is Emilio Estevez and Kiefer Sutherland and Blue Diamond Phillips and Christian Slater. And this place is a cantina. Bar. And the soldiers come to town looking for Billy the Kid. As soon as he finds out, he dives in a barrel right over here. As he's pulling the lid down on his head, the soldiers come in the back doors, rifles at the ready, and they don't find him. And Billy gets away. This has also been a pioneer home, a military barracks, and last June we shot another feature film out here. It's coming out in the fall, which is just a month or so. Hopefully, 12 Long Shadows, currently that's the name, and it stars Jacqueline Bisset and Dermot Mulroney, who's in the first Young Guns, Dominic Monaghan from Lord of the Rings. We have a pretty good cast. Let's hope it's a good Western. So take some pictures and then come on out, watch your heads on the way out, guys.
Dito ka. Okay. Nagkulang tutulo.
What do you mean, the wood part of this? This is where we put a steak cook. So you get on the stagecoach there, and it'll take you all around the town and out in the desert and all that stuff, and then it'll bring you back. You know, that's a stagecoach on the other side of that building. That's what that looks like. Ours is a little different, but it's the same thing. Okay, so this is the OK Corral Freight Depot. It's from a movie called Gunfight, the OK Corral. That came out in 1957. Starred Burt Lancaster, Kirk Douglas. Anybody been down to Tombstone? Checked it out? How about this? Anybody ever remember a movie called Tombstone? Came out in 1993. Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, all them guys? No? All right. So we have a famous shootout out here in Arizona called the OK Corral. And it happened in Tucson, Arizona, just south of us. And basically, it was two warring factions. And you had a gunfight that took place here in an area not much wider than this. And the people were about as close as we are. It was 30 seconds long, and everybody started shooting, and 3 men lay dead at the end of it. And there have been about 24 movies about this particular subject. And you might have heard some famous people who were in it. Whiter, that sound familiar? Doc Holliday, very, very famous Old West gunfighters that were in that particular one. But this movie is taking that idea, taking it to the extreme. And they're making it very long. It's 9.5 minutes long. It starts way back there, goes all the way to that gazebo. 15 guys are involved, people falling off buildings, getting caught on fire. Pretty good stuff. We got Kirk Douglas playing Doc Holliday over there, and he's after his arch enemy, Johnny Ringo. And Johnny Ringo runs away from the fracas, and he goes over to that blacksmith shop right behind you. And as he's floundering around there, Kirk Douglas as Doc Holliday appears in that window. That 6 gun. He just shot 58 bullets out of it, but he still has 4 more rounds. And it's a Hollywood picture, he knows, he's seen them. And they shoot a lot of bullets. And he shoots Johnny Ringo right there in the boardwalk. Now, that's all well and good, but there's something you need to know. Johnny Ringo wasn't at the OK Corral. So there's a thing that happens with Hollywood in history, which is Hollywood tends to make you believe that they're watching real history, but they're not. They're not trying to fool you. They're just trying to present it in their own way. And of course, it's not going to be the same as real history. So don't let Hollywood dictate the history. We've got it at our fingertips. Look it up. But let Hollywood inspire you and entertain you. That's what it's there for. Okay, let's move on. We got more to talk about. Okay, as we're coming up the street in the distance, you're going to see that chapel. That chapel was made in 1968 in a barn for a movie called Heaven with a Gun, starring an actor named Glenn Ford. Now, Glenn Ford did 7 movies out here. He did 3 more than John Wayne. Right? So actually, if you guys, I need to have you sit over here because the tour's got to keep moving. Okay.
Ang kapoy na yan. Kurt, picture ko ni Kurt. Ano na?
There's a chair in here with air conditioning. She'll love it.
Oh. This is the courthouse. Ah, that's the young guns. Questions there.
Alright, so now kind of just exactly, I don't know if you can walk up and look up and see that we have a sign in this called King County Courthouse. It's not
Yes.
it. All the signs and all the buildings out here are interchangeable, and that's because when movies come through, they change them out, right? I mean, obviously, if this is called King County Courthouse and the movie takes place in Colorado, well, we don't have King County in Colorado, I think so. We have to change it, right? There's a very famous sign across the street called the Hotel Del Norte, and we definitely have to change that because that was used in a movie, and I'll tell you about that later. But this is built for filming in mind. It's so big in here, we have to accommodate camera equipment, lighting, and scaffolding, so there's not really a second floor, although there sure as heck should be. It's like they forgot. It's very balcony. So anyway, we got rooms over here. All movie sets. These are all movie sets. We got a bank over here. We got a mercantile over here, and we have a courtroom. So please don't look around. You can't go to that one. You can see it over the road. This is also a museum. We're nurturing it, making it into a museum, so it's in the process. But you can still get an idea of what we're doing in there. And feel free to take pictures of the judges here if you want. Let me have to see you in about 4 or 5 minutes, right? No, it's just quick. It's not the whole way.
It's a bank. This one's the bank. Old bank. This one's the court. Ah, Nestor? Ah, ano mga bado nila dati, no? San Diego Old Town. Mga kulat ito, mga Meksikano at tato, mga old na mga balay. Nakakato ka nito? Tila rin? San Diego Old Town. Pag kumadto ka, sige lawa para damot ka kadtuan. Oo. Mga duwa kadto, tulo ka duwa kadtuan. Tuwan ng space, magbuwa, di ba? Matutun niya. Pwede nga sumunod, tidak? Pwede nga sumunod. Picture kami, Jin. Kami nga tulo. Dito ka gilid ko, ako ni Dag.
Dito maganda oh.
Maganda ba dyan?
Oo, kasi kita yung plus.
Sige, ako muna tingin. Muna.
Ba't pinapalo mo yun?
Bakit pinapalo mo yung libro?
Wala dito. Awan, marami yan ah.
Ano naman dito?
Ganda dito. Okay dito ah. Oo.
Dapat tinatanggal yung shades kasi wala dapat shades.
Ay, marami yan to ah. Quick ano yan. Mabilis na siya.
Objection, order. Order pizza.
Oo, sige.
Wala yung malikon. Zoom. Wala. Ha?
Okay, when everybody's ready, come on back. Let's see all through.
Gold bar? Oh no.
Wait, grab it again.
No. No good. And thanks.
That's okay, you got it. It's not.
I know.
We're gonna talk about some of these things.
Oh yeah.
15 minutes.
That's Tombstone. I watched that movie.
So you did see Tucson. Okay.
Yeah, Tombstone. They're great warriors. For the,
Okay, so there's a lot of posters in here. A lot of posters for a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Some of them might
But-
surprise you if you've seen some westerns. But this behind me is a series of lobby cards, and these are from the movie that put this place on the map. We've been talking about Arizona the entire time. This is it. That's Gene Arthur, that's William Holden. I told you about them. Doesn't look like a cougar sighting at all. Don't they look cute together 17 years apart? So these are gone. We don't have these anymore. These were marketing tools, very much like posters. So if you guys ever go to an antique store and you see these, and you like stuff like this, buy it. These are gone. We're never going to see these again. But they're cool because, well, they're black and white pictures, all of them. They've been tinted or colorized. Literally, somebody by hand painted some of these things to make parts stand out and left the other parts black and white. Little horses, black and white, everything else is in color. Pretty neat. Now, this is kind of weird for some of you who are so young, but there was a time when motion pictures were in black and white. 1939, while we're cooking up Arizona, we're out here making this movie, two major motion pictures come out in Hollywood, and they changed the world because they're in color. Anybody know what they are? Wizard of Oz, good job. What's the next one? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a fuck. Gone with the Wind, right? Those are the two. Right, so those two movies basically changed it. Now, forever, moving forward, we have a standard. The standard is color. What are we going to do? Because it's expensive. Some movies never came out in color in 20 years after color came out because it was too expensive. If they didn't think they could make their money back on the whole movie, it wouldn't come out in color. Okay, we got some fun things in here. The kids have been playing with these. My cover's been blown. I was going to throw a brick at you or a boulder, but I can't now because they blew my cover. So, but these are fun things that we would use in movies. You've seen these in movies. You've seen this guy in a lot of movies. Think back to every old movie you've seen, and there's a guy running through a cave and the rocks are falling, and you always look at one rock because it's the weirdest rock of them all because it does this. Right? You've seen the bouncing boulder? Now you know, right? This is him. This is the bouncing boulder. He's a very formidable actor. Do not take him for granted. He's actually, we don't need this stuff anymore for cave-in sequences. I mean, you guys have seen movies. They've gotten so good with computer graphics, man. We don't need this kind of stuff anymore. But we do. We need to use it as actors. I need to maybe dig that guy out, right? He's stuck in there. I gotta get him out before he gets hit by more foam. So I pick up this boulder and I move it to the side and I dig him out. And take after take, I'm gonna have to lift up a boulder. So they're not gonna give me a real one because I might break a hip or something. So they're gonna give me something like this, right? I have to make it look like a second. Yeah. Okay, got a lot of fun things. How many times have you seen a movie where the guy gets his wife angry and she hits him with one of these, remember?
Oh,
The
yeah.
sound effect, clang, right? He falls over and it's really funny. Well, these are made of foam rubber and they're cast from originals. So you can actually see the issues. You see the issues in the cast iron in these molds. Here's a good example right here. This should be a 40-pound pickaxe, but it's not. It's only about 3 or 4 pounds. This thing's made out of foam rubber also. Look at it. But it's actually, you can see the casting marks of the original 1800s one in here. Pretty neat. They did a great job. This would be something we could use in movies. As a matter of fact, we had something like this when we shot that movie that's coming out in the next couple months. We at one point had 150 extras populating the street and another 20 people on horseback. That's a big budget film. Usually, as of late, we haven't had a lot of big budget films out here. Most of the time, they only have the budget for about 10 of us. And to make us look like 150, we have to keep walking back and forth in front of the camera. And we change hats and coats and stuff as we go along, so we can look like different people. It's silly, but it helps. But this one we had the old guy playing the miner, you know, long beard, donkey in tow, 40-pound pickaxe on shoulder, right, that guy. 3.5 hours it took to film that sequence out there for 10 seconds that you're going to see on the camera, or on the big screen. You're going to see 10 seconds worth, because we have to coordinate horses and people. You'd think it would be the horses. It's the people that are the problem. Horses know what they're doing, but not the people. Anyway, it takes a long time for the director to get what he wants. If we had that guy using a real 40-pound pickaxe, man, for 3.5 hours on your shoulder, you can imagine how tough that'd be. So he got a foam one, and he fooled us all because it looked real. Okay, now, one last thing, and then we'll leave here. We're talking about how Hollywood fools you, right? Well, Hollywood does. Hollywood's been fooling you for years. I had a friend who was in a very famous TV show out here called The High Chaparral. Anybody remember that? Okay, it was filmed from 1966 to 1971. It's about a family that ranched in Arizona right after the Civil War, and unlucky they chose Apache land to do it. So you can imagine what happened. Every week they got attacked by Apaches. Literally, whenever the bell would ring, they would move a wagon in, and everybody would get out and get their rifles, and in come the Apaches, and they'd shoot them all, and then the next week they would miraculously heal and come back again. They didn't have, unbeknownst to a lot of you, Hollywood just doesn't have thousands of guns to give out to actors. They don't. They have maybe 10 guns, maybe 20 if they're lucky, but not real ones. They're not all real. Some of them are dummies. By the time they run out of the dummies, and you still got 10 more or 20 more people you got to outfit, those people are getting broomsticks. I'm serious. This guy said he used to be in the back, he was the attacking Apache, and he would pop up in the bushes and shoot his broomstick at them, and then go back down. And these are real stories because, Hollywood, like I said, you couldn't get away with that nowadays. Because nowadays, with high definition, guess what? You're all going to see that guy in the back, and you're going to know he's carrying a broomstick. But back then, we're talking about, 360 lines? So, yeah, you wouldn't even tell he was holding something. You'd just see something in his hand. You wouldn't know what he was doing. So, yeah, so Hollywood fools us a lot. Who's good at finding mistakes in movies? Raise your hand. Anybody good at finding mistakes in movies? Nobody here? Come on now, I'm sure somebody.
I'm like, I would not have caught. I don't think he's holding the rifle.
Well, not that. Let's talk about something a little more simple. Have you ever seen a western or a period piece like maybe a pirate movie and you've seen an airplane flying in the background?
Oh,
Yeah?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those kinds of mistakes, well, we don't see those much anymore because computer graphics again can cover that up. But there are people in the industry that are hired to make sure that if I'm taking if you're in the shot, I have to make sure that right behind you that thermostat's covered up. Yeah, right? So there's some things that we have to take and look at because most people aren't looking at the wall behind you, they're looking at you. And that's how mistakes are made. John Wayne made a famous movie out here called McClintock. And at one point during the movie, he jumps off the second story to chase after Maureen O'Hara into a big hay wagon. And he forgot to remove the watch on his left wrist, a big gold Rolex watch. That's weird because in the 1880s, they didn't have wristwatches. They only had pocket watches. They definitely didn't have Rolexes. So, yeah, so you see what I'm saying? Big mistake there, made by a very famous actor. So these things happen. You've seen it in TV today. The reality shows, this is a good one. I found this out a lot. Reality shows, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they're not what they seem. When you see two people on a date and they're drinking in a restaurant, they're drinking out of glasses, in order to hide the fact that it's really a 30-minute sequence, not a 10-minute sequence, they paint the glasses. Maybe you've seen this, the chalices are gold or silver. Have you seen that? Yeah, watch next time. It's to cover up the fact that the liquid level is going up and down each shot, so that they don't pull the wool over your eyes, when in fact they have been doing that the entire time, right? We shot an episode of the Jersey Shore out here, and it's made to look like they're just here for the whole day. They were here for 25 minutes. In fact, we even did a stunt show. It was a baby gender reveal. All those kinds of things. And it was all done as if we were making a movie. Literally. As if we were making a movie with you guys and you were inexperienced actors. And we were putting you in the movie and you were running from... So I'm not trying to downplay reality TV, but yeah, it's not exactly what it seems. You guys are right. I know you've all thought that. And you're right. I've seen it. Yeah. By the way, it was a baby. The girl was a baby was a girl. So it was a pink explosion. It's pink confetti all over the town. So you ever watch it on... Anybody watch the Jersey Shore? Good people. So, very smart of you. Don't do it. All right. I gotta carry this. This is broken. So, Holly, get out of here. We're gonna head out now. If you want to stay inside here, you guys want to stay in here in the air conditioner? We'll come back and pick you up in about 6 or 7 minutes. Sound good? All right.
Tapos na. Tapos na.
The cantina with the green door.
Si Rosa.
Yeah, you can get a picture in there. It's fine.
It's fine.
You
You want to take a picture?
If you want to do that. The jail cell's open. In fact, I'll even help you if you want.
Go, Vika.
I know this kid's trouble. I already had to deal with him.
Okay, go inside.
Come on. You're trouble too. You were in. Get in there. Come on. Get in. You take your water with you. I'll let you have water in jail. But that's it. This is what happens when you steer afoul of the law. You young whippersnapper rapscallions. Anybody else? Nope. All right.
Picture ako. Picture ako.
You want a picture? There you go. Come on, you miscreant. Get out of there.
One more.
Oh, we got another malfeasant here. No videotaping in the jail.
Thank you.
There are no rights in jail. Okay. Everybody go around the corner here. We're going to go check out the big old mission. You see it? Find the shade right there against the wall. Actually, let's move up into the set. I know it's a little hot, but let's do that.
Gold shirts.
Come on over here. We're going to shade here.
Kusina oh. Tidak ada. Kamu doon sini. Kamu doon, picture kamu dua. Padala kamu kusina. Pangalayo ba? Tuod. Plastic. Dudua.
All right, so this famous set is called the Mission de Santa Maria. Now, I know it looks weird right now because we're setting it up for Halloween. It's going to be some sort of an operating room.
You wanna stay in front? You wanna stay in
I
front?
don't know the whole story. I just heard that we're dissecting a demon. It's supposed to be a comedy. That doesn't sound funny to me, but whatever. Anyway, it's a pretty cool set because it's been here since the 1940 movie Arizona, and it's been a mission, although over the last 85 years, this set has changed. I mean, it doesn't look anything like the original, but like I said, it's always been a church. You see it in movies like Hombre, starring Paul Newman and Richard Boone. Rose's Canteen is a stagecoach station. This is in the background. Tough scene in there with those two. Clint Eastwood, you heard that guy?
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood makes 2 movies out here. Outlaw Josie Wales and Joe Kidd. And Joe Kidd, he takes a bunch of bad guys right past the mission, right behind me here. They're on horseback. He takes them to the back there. He boards a train, and he drives the train into the saloon, run by all the bad guys, gets out of the train and starts shooting them all up. You got to watch that movie. It's a great Western. A lot of people have never heard of Joe Kidd, so now you've heard of it. Go watch it. Okay, you see it also in a movie called The Sackets. Now, that starred Glenn Ford, Tom Selleck, and Sam Elliott. Maybe you heard of those guys. But I'm going to tell you, there's 200 movies. We're not going to go through them all. Let's go to Tombstone. Some of you saw Tombstone. Very opening sequence. You're introduced to the cowboys. They get off their horses.
Yeah.
There's a wedding party coming out of there, and they gun them all down in cold blood. Terrible scene. Rough to watch. Johnny Ringo, 2 minutes later, shoots a priest over there in the corner for babbling. I mean, what's wrong with these people? Well, they're supposed to be the bad guys in the movie, so Hollywood has now portrayed them as being the worst evil people in the world because that's what they do. So they've established them as the worst people, and that's how you have to know them. But the truth is, the Cochise County Cowboys never wiped out a wedding party, and Johnny Ringo, the real one, never shot a priest. These are all things they did for the movie. Okay. Obviously, this is a show venue as well as a movie set. That's why we have the bleachers. If you come out January through May, we have gunfight shows in the streets. The gunfighters over there, they're doing their thing. They come in here, they do a big stunt show. There's an explosion, the one from the Jersey Shore without the pink, over here. And then we got guys climb up there and they get shot off that top story and they fall all the way to the ground. Sometimes we even put a mat out for them. But the reason I wanted to get a little closer is we've got a lot of kids here. I just want to tell you, now, the guns we use here at Old Tucson are actually blank guns only. All right, I know we talk a lot about guns and stuff, but they're blank guns. And due to recent situations, we can only use blank guns out here because they're safe. You can't get shot with a blank gun because the barrels are plugged up. There's nothing in the barrel that they can come out, and the fire and smoke come out the side of the gun. So unless you're standing right next to me when I fire it, then you're not going to get hurt. So don't stand next to me. Anyway, but I have some of the blanks that our stuntmen shoot out here, and I've shot in some movies and things. So I was wondering if any of the kids might want one of these. They're fired. They're not good anymore, but they are definitely souvenirs.
You want some souvenirs? Souvenirs.
Okay. When I was your age, I got a souvenir. There you go. Anybody else want one? Of course. These are 380. They're basically 38. Okay, and they're usually filled with black powder. And the crimp, you see the top, be careful, it's sharp sometimes. They crimp it down. There's no projectile in there. So when the primer gets ignited, it burns up the powder. It makes a loud boom sound, and a bunch of smoke comes out to emulate the black powder 6 guns of the old West period. So that's how we do it. In movies, it's a very similar situation. So they always, they're supposed to use blanks in movies.
Only once.
yeah, most of the time it was blanks in movies. Anyway, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. So anyway, all right, now, we shot another movie out here in January of 2023, and it is one I can tell you about, and you can watch it now if you want. It is an independent Western, and it's called Among Wolves. It stars country singer Trace Adkins. Anybody know him? He's a big guy. Yeah. Trace Adkins and Jeff Fahey from Silverado, James Russo, the sheriff in Open Range, and Tom Berenger. Does anybody watch the TV show Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 or 2 of you?
Kevin
Yellowstone,
Costner?
there's an actor named Corey Smith. He plays Lloyd, the old cowboy on the Yellowstone Ranch with the white mustache. Takes people to the train station. You know that guy? And so the rest of you, if you haven't watched Yellowstone, if you're asked in Yellowstone to go to the train station, don't do it. It's not a good trip. There's no beverage service, first of all. Yeah, it's the end of the line. Anyway, Corey Smith was out here. It was a big shootout at the end of the movie. I got killed over there somewhere. And when you're dead, there's nothing to do till you go home. You just have to lay there dead. So I talked to Corey, and Corey's telling me that 30 years ago he was a stuntman out here. 30 years ago. Yeah, and that's how he got in the movie Tombstone. Boom, blow my mind. So I said, what do you mean? And he's in the very sequence I just told you about. The very opening sequence, he's one of those cowboys. He plays Pony Deal, a real character from the history, and you see him because he's got the same mustache 30 years ago. It's just not white back then. And of course, he's also in the end of the movie too, so you see him throughout the whole film. But it's neat to think that 30 years later, he could come back out here and make another movie. It's also neat to think that back in those days, they used to put ropes up like these so people could watch movies being made. You'd come to the park, maybe the kids are going to go on a pony ride or something, and you want to have a beer and watch a gunfight show. Next thing you know, you find out Clint Eastwood's over there. Hey, let's go watch Clint Eastwood. Maybe you get to shake his hands over the ropes. Maybe one of the kids didn't show up for work that day, and they ask you if it's okay to grab yours and put him in the wardrobe and be him in the movie. And that's happened. Actually, had that kid tell me 50 years later in a tour. So yes, these things do happen, and that's what happens in movie sets like this. People take home memories like that. All right, let's get out of here. We got stuff to do, places to go. Okay. About face.
Nagpa-picture ka mo dun, Kwan? Please one, please one. Ang please one dito. Ang cage ba? Kurt! Picture ako dito, Kurt. Kada anay, picture ako dito. O, mo. Oo. Bugos ha, bugos. Bugos nga, pati hotel, bugos nga hotel.
Oh, gila.
Bugos nga hotel.
Apa dalam pada? Sagad yang ako.
Papadan nga ran, unta. Papadan nga ran. Oh, opposite nga rin. Pare, diretso na kita dito. Diretso na. Oo.
In 1951, the following year, another actor comes out here and makes a movie called The Last Outpost. That actor used to be a president of our United States. Anybody know? Ronald Reagan, right. If you've never seen Ronald Reagan as a young man actor in a Western, skip it. It's terrible. What's wrong with it? It's about the worst one I've ever seen. So, yeah, don't watch it. Now, this building didn't look quite like this. It's all wood. So it looked more like all the other wood buildings you see with the, it didn't have the plaster. And in the next 30 years of movie making, we have a busy street here. Tons of actors going up and down it. Alan Ladd, Shirley MacLaine, Liz Taylor. We got Charlton Heston. We've got Randolph Scott, Clayton Moore, who's a Lone Ranger. Even he was out here. Oh, and then you got Charles Bronson, Burt Reynolds. Here's one for you. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Y'all know he made a Western? Most people don't know the Terminator made a Western. He did, back in 1978. It was like a third movie.
So we are at the West
Before he did Conan the Barbarian, I think.
West
And
West
he plays the role
West
of Henry
West
Stranger
Wild
in a movie called
West
The
Wild
Villain, a comedy movie with
Wild
Burt
Wild
Reynolds.
Wild
And
Wild
it was
West.
every comedian from the 80s, 70s, so worth watching. All right, now this busy street had another side to it. Went all the way up there and intersected with the street right behind the saloon over there. That street was in the movie Tombstone. In fact, in Tombstone, you see it twice. Once the camera's facing this direction, and Doc Holliday, played by Val Kilmer, riding his horse off that way, getting out of Pasco's, Texas. Right? No, I'm sorry, Fort Griffin, Texas. And then an hour later, they put the camera on the other side of the street facing this way, and we're in Tucson, Arizona. Magically. There's another scene with Val Kilmer. Maybe you guys know this one if you know the movie. Johnny Ringo's drunk. He's in the street. He's threatening the earths. I want your blood, he says. And Doc Holliday comes to the rescue. He's got that 6-gun hidden behind his back. And he utters a very famous line to Johnny Ringo. Anybody know what it is?
No.
Almost. That's pretty hairy, but that's close enough. It's I'm your Huckleberry, which is basically the same thing, right? You remember the I'm your Huckleberry line? Anybody know that? No? It's time to watch Tombstone, folks. All right, get that on the list. All right, now, we lost both those streets in a fire in 1995. About 20 buildings lost. Nobody was hurt. Thankfully, all the livestock got out, and we rebuilt and we still film here today. That's why there's no side street here. Okay, and now in 1986, all of this changes. It has to look like Mexico. That's why this building looks the way it does. That's why its name is the Hotel del Toro, Hotel of the Bull. We've got these arches and plaster that start showing up because we're in Mexico and it's 1916. And 3 actors come out and help us make that movie. Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and Steve Martin. Anybody know it? Three Amigos. Well, thank you. And yes, we are in Mexico. And right across the street, one of those buildings that burned down was called the Cantina del Borracho, which stands for the Drugs. The 3 Amigos go in there and they do a song and dance number right after a bunch of people just got killed. I mean, it's a pretty rough bar. And the fact that they're doing a song and dance number is only because they've had tequila. You guys remember this? Remember? My little buttercup. Yeah, it's a silly number. And it's actually one of the best things in the whole movie. So if you get a chance to watch the 3 Amigos, it's better with alcohol. But get a chance to watch it, They step out of the building and they look up and that German fellow flies his biplane right over the Hotel del Toro. That's why we can't use this sign for another movie, because it is tied to the 3 Amigos. The Hotel del Toro is the sign, the name of the bar. All right, let's get out of here. We got stuff to do. So follow me downtown. Anybody need any last minute pictures? Nope. What's that?
What caused the
It was arson. Yeah. Yeah, I used to think it was just one of the points.
Picture with the kids.
Investigated it back in the day, and so he told me, no, as a kid, when we wanted to see what it looked like the burnt building, and when it got out of hand, he took off. So, there's a bunch of wood buildings here. They went up like fire, like matches, essentially. So as soon as they started going up, he bolted. He got out of Dodge. So I guess they caught up to him, but they couldn't prosecute him for some reason. I guess not under oath or something. So I don't know the whole story. But yeah, it was. I think it was like insurance scam, disgruntled employee, all those things. It's none of that. Right, yeah. What happened to, they're inside there, we gotta go get them? Okay. You wanna go get them and bring them back? Thank you. And then we're gonna head back down now.
And you said that was a movie that was recently filmed here that comes out this year?
Yeah, it's called Long Shadows, with Jacqueline Bisset. I don't know if it's coming out in the theaters or if it's just going like everything else, it's Amazon or whatever, I have no idea, but that's what I was told. They said, what's the current title? They keep changing the title. It was Last Dollar, now it's Long Shadows. They said, no, Long Shadows, and it's coming out in the fall. Over this way, guys. One picture, okay. Go ahead. So anyway, you guys get to stand in your feet? Stand in your feet? Matthew, let's stay here for a second. Matthew, that's Salem.
Good. Picture na ako
Told
dito.
me that just
Yung
because
sa iyo.
told me we can stand in this, he said, oh, you can stand in your slippers too. When they opened the park in 1960, Bob Shelton, the guy who ran the place, he was thinking about you guys. He didn't want you to get 30 feet. He wanted you to have a better experience. So he had the whole place covered in asphalt. And then John Wayne came in the year after and said, no, tear it all up. It'll hurt the horse's hoofs, or I'll never film here again. And of course they tore it up because he's the biggest box office draw of that time. So yes, they tore it up, and now we're back to dirt and rocks and sand. So sorry about your dirty feet, but it's more authentic. So there you go. And he was a good friend to old Tucson. Look at that cannon over there. See that cannon? That was from a movie he made called The Alamo in 1960. Anybody ever see it? He played Davy Crockett.
I have seen that
Yeah,
one.
that's a fun movie. A lot of actors in that one. And when he was done making that movie, he gathered up all the carriages, wagons, and cannons, and they all made their way back here to Old Tucson. So every once in a while we restore one, and it ends up on the street. It tickles me to death because it's kind of fun. All right, moving on. Let's go.
Grabe talaga wala ano? Tig bagang dugnit. Ah, akala ko lawalawa ito. Papasok pa sa ano? Hindi naman takon. Hindi man kurt picture ako, kurt hindi kurt. Kurt, hindi man kurt picture ako. Sapa, dapat namove gap ako.
Sige, sige na. Yeah, we fared much better than a lot of other movie sets over the last decade or so. All those California fires burned down some of the most famous sets. Luckily, we're still here, so that's the important thing. But yeah, it's dangerous. Most of these towns were built back before they had fire codes. And, you know, the Old West was built before they had fire codes. So if we're emulating the Old West, we're putting a bunch of wooden buildings next to each other. Yeah, guess what's going to happen when there's a fire? It's just going to spread through. So it's a tricky situation. That's why we have a lot of stuff in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. We have two 20,000-gallon water tanks back there. So hopefully that'll, I don't know. All right, we got this beautiful Southern Pacific Railroad station over here, and it's actually the oldest building on the property, dates back in 1900, making it a building from the Old West. It's a real train station. It got plucked out of the desert back then in 1959 and topped here, so we can top of that to you. Now, the gentleman over here asked me if this is a war wagon. There was a very famous John Wayne, Kirk Douglas movie called The War Wagon about an armored stagecoach. And then fast forward to 2007, we see a very similar coach in the movie 310 to Yuma, a remake of the one that was made here with Glenn Ford. And it had an armored stagecoach. And then we made a movie here, and guess what? There's our armored stagecoach. I'll be honest with you guys, and there was no armored stagecoaches in the Old West. They're not practical machines. If you needed something armored, you used a train. First of all, stopping a stagecoach is not stopping the stagecoach, you're stopping the horses, which is pretty easy if they're pulling a big old thing like that, right? Big old metal box. It's not fair to do them. Then you just need a can opener. But this thing, in order for us to make it look like it was the real deal and pulled by horses, we made it out of wood.
Oh.
Even the rivets are made out of wood or something like that. Yeah, it started to weather down, it started to crack and stuff, but still pretty cool. But this movie is supposed to come out pretty soon too. It's been a long time. We have a lot coming out. We have a lot that's come out. They're still making westerns. For some of you who weren't sure, yeah, they haven't stopped since 1903, guys. It's a very important part of our history in America. And for whatever reason, people in Hollywood decided, hey, let's make movies and TV shows about it. And although they're fantasized versions of it, it's spread across the world, and now everybody loves our American West. There's proof of this.
Dala ko
in
niya.
different countries.
Bungos ko
Sweden
talaga.
has a place twice the size of it's called High Chaparral. Right? They even have American bison there. I don't know how they got them. I've done that. You can't fly, I know that. Anyway, Germany has a place. The UK has two places that are Old West towns. France, Spain has where they shot spaghetti westerns, Good, Bad, and the Ugly and all that. That town is still there, and Almeria, I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's there, and they still do reenactments there. So people love our Old West. But we got to keep making movies. But you guys got to keep watching them. We have a generation here that has probably not watched many westerns, and if not, maybe they haven't seen one at all. They don't even know what they're doing here today. Their mom dragged them here. But you know what? It's important because I got to pass the torch. I got to pass the torch to somebody, and we need this next generation to watch some westerns because if they like it, which there's a good chance they're going to, then this can stand another 85 years for their kids and grandkids, and that's what's important. All right. Thank you all for taking the tour today. Let's get out of here. Move it out.
Picture na
Let's go.
Bili. Ito ka. Jen. Daniel. Ako ni. Sige. Daniel.
Dali kita nga tanan.
Kita tadi. Ikaw.
Dali.
Ikaw tadi.
Tara.
Dito sa gitna ko, yo.
Hat. Sino pasok.
Ito.
Dapat ka pasok.
Dili man. Okay man. Okay man la. Kurt. Dili yung pwede. Sasakyan kunta.
Kikita ikaw, Bi. Dito. Lalak ang post. Ayun, para ipas na yan.
Still have all your waters, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Because it's right in front.
Hindi ka na. Ay, din. Mapait lang ang souvenir para ko sa.
There's a Mexican restaurant. may pabaligid sa bato mo. Iba yung takta ng papalit sa map. So ano kung yung sa print mo?
Wala na titenda yung Uncle B-Boy. Nangaroon pa sa lubong. Wala din nala. Balik na dikot. Balik nala. Balik dikot na. Ay sus, kumahal ba yun yung kagwangin eh. Akort, kuha na ito. Akin na akort, kuha na. Mahal man ini. Mahal. Atis mo mahal. Si.
Tapos mo lang sa ano ko.
Ano ito, magkano ito? Yeah. Yeah, please. Let me transfer first my account. Card? Yeah.
Total is 3435. All right. And would you like to with that?
Yes, please. Thank you. Ha? Kung kulo pa sa lubong, kinaarot hindi pa sa lubong. Tingnan din ho. Pan na ba, kitchen na ba?
Hindi ba may libre na sila?
Snacks lang yung ginuhulat. Mama, tinday biboy. Kaya katuan eh, talapad daw tinday. Sabihin mo.
May tris na.
Sabi mo.
Kabarilid ba? Ito yung tris na. No.
Nagkalakat na yun. Mas pa sa'yo na magkalakat ano? Ano, nakadagat dati? Ngayon kita yun na.
Bakit pa pera ko na hummingbird? Ang buta siya.
Hindi, maalam.
Mga hero mo.
Hummingbird ha, ito.
Hummingbird.
Hindi natin maalam.
Yung nag-ham.
Kanina ako sa ngayon.
Ano?
Magkakamay na ako.
Diin.
Ang ruba, ang ruba ng kwan.
Dino. Ano ba? Istorya niya? Dini? Aw, ngayon kita yun na.
Ang buta yun.
Uy, tamo, wala na kita. Magkapian kita.
Oh, ha?
May Starbucks sa tidaday.
Kaya ano, kape?
Oh, ano ma? Tiyapuan.
Kamay na lang ice cream.
Hay makita. Din. Din. Outlet? May outlet nga din eh.
O, din yung card lang iba na.
Ay, ito.
Parang yung dimhi.
Hay, ito.
Ito nga itong pilit. Ito yung kwan niya, organic yatis dito.
Layo din eh. Saan wala ko nain? Mapalulot ako yun. Masulot tayo mga lain. Gusto ko ito sumakay dida. Sumunod dida. Ito niya. Gusto ko sumakay. Oh, pag ganito tubig. Kain hummingbird. Ibang humming at yan sinasabi mo eh. Dapat sinabi mo, akala ko may snack. Eh kung di lumapas, makikitunta ko nga dito, ano? Pasuliwat. Wait, plastic.